I do think another outlet that you really enjoy will really balance your life out.
Thank you, Mark, for hopping on to the Creative Haven podcast. It's great to have you on here, just because we've known each other for a few years now. We've actually lived with each other as well
Five
as
years.
roommates.
It's gonna be 5 years coming up this November.
Yeah, yeah,
5 years ago.
and ever since I've known you, you've been one of the most talented artists, musicians, as well as just developers, coders, and just all around talented guy. Um, I think that a lot of people on here are going to really enjoy hearing from you, just because you have such a wide range of skills, from the technical side of coding and app development all the way to singing and instrumentation and songwriting. So we got everyone, you're in it for a treat. But before we get into it, I would love for you to actually talk about the history of Marc Nieto and how you got to where you are today, as streaming on Twitch and working at where you're working at now and what you're doing today.
For sure. I mean, it kind of all depends on how far do we want to go back here?
Prehistoric times.
Prehistoric. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's see. I guess I first started getting interested in music and performance because of Michael Jackson. I had watched
Nice.
a Michael Jackson tape. My parents had filmed or recorded everything that he had. A lot of music videos. They had Moonwalker on there. They had Thriller on there. They had his Super Bowl performance on this tape, and I used to watch this tape twice a day for a couple of years. I think I had to watch it every day. I couldn't miss a single day of it. So that was when I was super young. I was like probably 3 or 4 years old. I wanted to be him. When I was a kid, I was dressing like him. I was wearing the white socks and black loafers, kind of like him
Nice.
when
Yes.
I was 5 in kindergarten. I feel like I have pictures of it still. I'm like, oh wow, I was really just rocking that look because I like what he was doing. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I was really drawn to that, and that's really
Hmm.
what kind of got me started with music and music performance at the very, very start, prehistoric, prehistorically. Um,
Nice.
but I have such a musical parents. More so, I have stage parents. They kind of just
Hmm.
wanted to put me on stage a lot. They were, um, yeah, they were very just like very forthcoming. I don't know if that's the right word. In just putting me in like piano lessons, putting me on stage in their Filipino culture shows. Um,
Nice.
doing the tinikling, which
Yes.
is like it's a very intricate bamboo folk dance of the Philippines,
Hmm.
and it's quite famous actually. They were putting me in that when I was really young, so it seemed more impressive to people who are watching it, since I was a child doing it. Um,
You gotta be careful, because when your leg gets caught in those sticks, it's no joke.
it is no joke.
It's like a
It
trap.
definitely, yeah, it's a trap, and it's definitely something that gets the crowd going. I think
Hmm.
I had once performed that for our July 4th parade. Like we had stopped, each act stopped in front of the judges and like performed
Nice.
before marching along, and it was 96. I can't believe I remember this, but we have a trophy. That's why I remember it. It's in our basement. Still have it, and yeah, I we performed that number as kids, and we ended up winning first place in that 4th of July parade. It was a
Tinikling
fun time.
champion. A
Yeah, I know.
Tinikling superstar.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, from Dinnickling superstar to where I am today.
No, it's there's a whole bunch in between, but it's
Yeah, no,
cool
there is.
that. Yeah, yeah. No, because when you majored in you graduated with a math degree.
Yeah, I have a double degree in math and computer science.
Yes,
So yeah.
yes. And so I know that during the time when you were growing up, being creative and whatnot, you were performing, you were singing, you were dancing, break dancing as well. What made you, decide to, of course, major in math and computer science while you were still creative?
Well, okay, so that is kind of a journey in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think
An
I think
Asian, it's an Asian journey.
it's the most Asian journey that you can think of.
Yes.
After, so I guess I should kind of explain what happened in between the tinikling and and
Mm-hmm.
today. Like I took piano lessons for about 12 years, so I was getting into piano. I was just highly interested in instrument playing. I was playing woodwinds throughout grade school into high school, in the jazz band, concert band, at church as well every week. I was playing that, and then when I was a teenager, I got a drum set, to be in like just a band with my friends, and that was like a lot of fun as well. So I was like highly involved in music in high school, and at the end of high school, it was really very. It was like kind of a confusing time. I even wrote a college essay about music, and I ultimately decided that computer science or computer engineering actually was my original major
Mm.
going into college, was the best choice for me. And I was very just I was so naive. I didn't really know what was out there yet. All I knew that was that I was interested in music, but I was also quite good, and I kind of felt really good about coding as well. So I was like, okay, well then let's go to school for computer engineering for now, and then we'll see what happens. But I guess after let's see, after that first year, so when I went into college, I joined the drum line at
Mm-hmm.
my college. That kind of um, I don't know, it sparked something in my head. Like I went in there and well, I walked into auditions, and I wasn't good enough yet.
Mm.
So that kind of like it kind of inspired me to like work at it a little bit more. I was like, oh wow, there's just a whole other world that I haven't even really touched on, yet as far as like drumming and percussion. I was like, okay. So I just like I focused in on that so much. That was like a week before college actually started. There was like rehearsals running, and I was just so focused on that, and I never stopped focusing on that, I guess. Because after a year of just like I don't know, hard practicing drums, I thought about switching over to music
Mm-hmm.
at some point, or going over to a music school. I visited Berkeley, and I was just talking to a bunch of music students, people who are studying music, and I got a lot of advice everywhere. I mean, biggest one from my parents, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "No, it's not a great idea." The very Asian. It was like such Asian advice, Asians' parents' advice. It is. They were like, "No, it's not a good idea. It's not career building. There's no money in it." They're like, I had to hear it, a lot for them, and to me, it was just like, well, you guys you built me into this machine,
Mm-hmm.
like this
Mm-hmm.
music machine and performing machine, and they just weren't going to support me then. But I think even then, I still was kind of naive to it all, because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, if I go to music school, what I'm going to go for, like, what instrument, like,
Yeah.
what I'm going to do, like, what I was like, is it going to be drums? I was like, and I thought in my head, I was like, do I really want to be a drummer for the rest of my life? Is that like, I was like, huh, or do I want the options? Do I want more options? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
um, I consulted. I also consulted with one of my instructors, my drumline instructors at Maryland. He was going for a PhD in music, so I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
should ask him. He's the one who's been to music school, um, and he ultimately was like, I don't think you should do it. I think it's like, I think you're already doing it, and they're just going to tell you the same thing
Yeah.
already doing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ultimately decided to stay at my school for, well, I switched my major over to math at
Mm-hmm.
that point. I'd done about half the computer science curriculum as a part of computer engineering, but
Yeah.
so yeah, that's really what kind of convinced me to kind of stay with it, stick with the coding,
Mm-hmm.
and on the side, focus on music. But I was able to explore a little bit more. Like I branched out of drumming. I got
Yeah.
into music production, audio engineering, and then I think one of the biggest pieces of advice my dad gave me was like, it went something like this. He's like, if you want to do music, you should be a singer. Yeah, yeah. I was like, he's like, you're probably right. You're probably right. I should work on my singing. So I actually did.
Yeah.
I focused more on singing after that. I started singing more. I started doing more audio engineering and recording myself, and then
Yeah.
recording other artists and music production on the side of my major, and
Wow.
also along with my drum line. I was still playing on the drum line for 2 or 3 more years, so I was like, I was keeping busy somehow.
Yeah. I mean, how were you able to balance all three of those? And was there a point where all three of them were influencing each other? Was the creativity that you were finding through drum line and singing and audio engineering helping you understand concepts in math and computer science? And did the computer science and computer engineering help you figure out all the technical aspects of drumline and music production?
I mean, I think when you study something like computer science and math, you go into like a like real you go far down into to the depths of understanding math that you just I never could have imagined. I was like, oh wow, that's it's like because we learn math when we were younger at a very like a high level. We're
Hmm.
like arithmetic, like one plus one equals two. And we learn in the decimal system, but then you go to college and you start to study it in more depth, and you're like, oh wow, number systems and number theory, like
So
all this.
you started to see the matrix.
Yeah, I started going deep down, but at the same time I was also doing the same thing with when I was figuring out. I don't know if this has always been like something I've always had, or I had to like develop something, develop these skills. But I think like when I was going into drumline and it wasn't good enough, I had to like sit down and figure out the lowest level things that and kind of work those kinks out. And um, so I yeah, that's just the way I guess I approached something new, like something new,
Hmm.
at the time, singing or music production or audio engineering. That's kind of like I feel like that skill kind of transferred over in between the two. And I
It's really.
think
Mhm.
I also think in a way math is music. Studying music is very very math based.
Mm.
Beats of four, downbeats on two and four, subdivisions. That all made sense to me very quickly because of math understanding. But yeah, they always say that too. That math and music, like they kind of like go hand in hand, and
Wow.
so maybe
Interesting.
maybe that sort of helped me out there.
I mean, that's probably why you love drumming so much because of the percussion, rhythm, BPMs, the different types of. I always see percussion like math, to tell you the truth. Like how many hits or how many times can you really get a certain amount of beats within a minute? And what's awesome is that all the stories about you, going to college, doing, getting your degrees and still being creative and getting into app development and the world of app development. It was really awesome to see that transition because I'm your fan. I saw the transition. It was awesome to watch. And you still had this music passion on the side. And so, how was it when you were first starting working with these app companies, developing these apps, and still having this passion to make music on the side? Like, how were you able to balance those two? And what were the difficulties, and also the 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 fun times or the benefits of having music not as your full time job, but actually as your hobby?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's a also a that could be a big story. It kind of depends on where we want to start there, but I guess I'll start with after college.
Mm-hmm.
So right after college, I went back to school. So I went to college twice. So I actually just finished in math, just straight up, because I kind of wanted to get out of there and explore my music,
Mm-hmm.
and just explore myself, explore the world and kind of just figure out more about myself, and visit places. And LA was one of those places. Having not been there and having heard about it so much, I was like, I think that's where I need to be. So I went and I visited back 10 years ago for American Idol callback. So that was like my first experience in LA. But boy, I got hit with a ton of, a ton of really useful information about
Mm-hmm.
business and experiencing it firsthand. And I was, and experience LA for the first, firsthand. I quickly realized how hard it is to live out there, how expensive it is. So I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
really? I was like, and I had small music contracts out here that kind of kept me afloat for a couple months, but I was like, this is hard. So yeah, like like making a living with music and living out here was the hardest thing. I was like, but I know I
Mhm.
want to be out there because I'm around people, like-minded people like you know, just like, you know, we're always like constantly on the hustle and just keeping up the work and consistency. So I liked being around that because being where I'm from Maryland, there's just around my friend group just wasn't, you know, that same spark, that same energy. I would explain to them all these things, and they'd be like, "What?" You know, that makes no sense. And like in my head, everything makes like perfect sense. I'm like, all right, I gotta make back to LA
We're
somehow. So
crazy in LA, everyone, just to let you know.
yeah, but I love it. I love crazy. That's just who I am, I guess. Um, so I went back home and after about 6 months, and I just kind of explored places, and I was like, okay, let's go to different cities. Let's just see how that their city, you know, handles the likes of me, or how do I handle a city, you know, like Boston, or I don't know, Florida, you know, like what have you. Overseas, you know, going over, I went to Sweden for a month. I also visited the Philippines. It was it's totally different when you're in an exploratory mode. You just want to do everything and go everywhere and and meet people and just embrace a culture. But ultimately, I was like, okay, I got back from all of that. It was like a year of, you know, traveling. I got back after that year. I was like, okay, I got to sit down for a little bit, you know, settle in one place and start recording music. I was like,
Mhm.
I want to make it back to LA, but I need a couple things to make it happen. You know, like I need to have recorded music, you know, like stuff that I can show people, a project that I've, you know, that I put all my, you know, everything that I've learned and something I'm passionate about um, before I go out there. So that was one thing. And then the second thing was I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get a job out there. I don't know what job
Mhm.
yet.
Mhm.
Um, ultimately, I decided I was like, I was really close to getting that second degree in computer science or a second major. Um, I think I should just go back to school for this little bit, this like year that I had to go back. Um, and I went back to school as a um, yeah, as an adult. It was a totally different experience because I was just like super focused, and I kind of saw like a lot of like I saw students around me who were kind of like what I was in college, and I was like, man, was I really that, like, you know, like that lazy? You know, like when you're an adult, you're just like you're just like, wow, I couldn't even deal with, you know, like someone, yeah, like as far as academia. I mean, music wise in college, I was working a lot, but you know, I kind of put academia by the wayside the
Mhm.
first time. But going back was I was super focused. I was like, okay, let's finish this out. The sooner I get this done, I can you know, make my way back to LA. And as soon as I graduated, I hit up our mutual friend Ray, and I was
Mhm.
like, hey, you know, I hear you're looking for a spot out there. You know, let's look for a spot together. And he's like, yeah, you know, me and my business partner Mitchell, you and
Mhm.
are looking for a spot too. I was like, okay, well, you know what, maybe this could work out. And it kind of happened months later. Made it out to LA finally.
Yes, that's the origin story. Keep going.
That is the origin story. Okay, and um, after getting there, it was just a ball. I was a ball of excitement. I just wanted to
Mhm.
kind of go to every event, every party, hang out with everyone, go to, you know, to breakdance events with you, b-boy
Yes.
events with you, and kind of help you out. I was just like, and then help out, you know, the early days of Easy Tech, and you know, just like
Mhm.
helping out. I loved it. I just loved being out and about, and just kind of getting to know what was up nowadays. And meanwhile, I was, you know, applying for jobs as an app developer. I was already kind of an app developer out there remotely, but I was trying to find a job, you know, kind of locally. Um, but yeah, it took me a couple years to finally kind of land something that was the right fit for me. Um, even in yeah, and even in that, and I was, I don't know, I don't know how far down I want to go to
Yeah.
the app story, but I guess all in all, I guess that's what I'm still doing. 6 apps later, I'm still doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right now, I'm with a new company, and you know, we finally, you know, after the 6th app, we made our Series A. So we're, you know, really proud of that. But I guess I guess the moral of the story,
Mhm.
if you
Mhm.
will, is that Um, when I was stressing out about music solely, it kind of like wore me down a little bit. It kind
Mm.
of, I was like, I need some sort of balance. I need some other part of my life that is not music. But I also found that it could be something that's not music, but is also creative. Because in coding, you're kind of like, you know, in computer science, they just teach you all the tools, and everything else is just creation, up in your
Mm-hmm.
head and vision. And so it's another creative outlet for me. I get the same creative satisfaction out of it as I do with music. Music just feels a lot better to me, more emotional. Uh, whereas coding is just,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that emotional, but there's just like you still feel proud of stuff that you've made and have come up, as in your head. Uh, but yeah, so I that's
Love
where I
that.
think the balance actually works out for me really well. It keeps me from getting too far, deep down in either of those things. Um,
Nice.
although it is like a ton of ton of working all the time, but it helps me out.
Love that. No, Mark, thank you so much for sharing that because a lot of people on this podcast and the target audience, really, the people I really want to talk to are the people who did go through the same challenges you did as an artist and as a creative who were told at a young age, even myself, that, hey, you need to go to school and get a degree in an industry that's going to give you a job guaranteed. And creativity and being an artist is not something that you should value or you should pursue because you're not going to make money. You're not going to have a career and you're going to be unstable. And so the whole idea for this podcast is really inspire people like yourself who have this internal passion for music, for art, for creativity, and at the same time, have found success in another field. And sometimes people hate their job and they want to quit their job and actually pursue creativity and a creative passion full time. But sometimes they love their job and they love their hobby, and their passion, their skill, their craft. And I feel that a lot of the people I've interviewed here have told me that for creatives, we do need another outlet than our main craft. Because if we dig too deep into our main crafts, we get stuck in this hole where we are only looking at things that we are interested in, rather than finding outside sources to kind of inspire us or even criticize and give us direction. Because I've been in a situation where I've just been filming and doing video, and that's it. And you start getting tunnel vision and you just start looking at things that you like, and what happens is that you stagnate in your actual work because you don't find anything different. You actually start being way too niche, and it's the exploration outside of your craft and your passion in other industries and other genres. It helps you break out of that shell or break out of those boundaries that you put on yourself for niching too much or just focusing way too hard on your specific craft. And it's awesome that you found it in coding. But what's really cool is your background right now. Okay, what you're doing with your craft went on another level because you are on Twitch and you actually have followers on Twitch. You have a weekly show on Twitch, and it's amazing because you have a full-time job. You're also doing music, and you're a Twitch star. You were at the Twitch conference. You got to tell people about that. And so my question is, this new era of Twitch, tell me the benefits of Twitch, why you like Twitch, and you feel like people out there, other entrepreneurs or business people or even creatives, why Twitch is so cool and important.
For sure. So, let's start at kind of the beginning of like where I started social media and music. I
Mm-hmm.
learned all about social media from you and
Mm-hmm.
our other friend uh, John Cage, and you guys were like when I had moved into the apartment, you guys were like so in so into it. I was like, that's where I gotta start
Mm-hmm.
off with my social media accounts, and so I started building my Instagram. I started doing videos for YouTube. Um, for some reason, I had trouble keeping up with the videos um, on those platforms. I feel like I don't know. In my head, I thought that the creativity of each little piece, I think, to me, had to be so. I had to be so in depth with each, little post or
Mm-hmm.
video that I posted, that I thought it was, I got kind of, I don't know, discouraged that I wouldn't be able to like keep it up. So that's why I wasn't very consistent at posting on social media. Um, so let's just fast forward to Twitch. Actually, um, I didn't really, when I started on Twitch, I actually didn't realize that I would, be getting into the whole social media game, or I find my, I guess, find my, I don't know, my zone with it, because I think at first at first on Twitch, I was just watching. I was just watching
Mm-hmm.
a lot of gamers. It is made for gaming, and it was originally. They didn't even allow music on the platform at first. So I was just watching a bunch of games, a bunch of old games from my past, a lot of retro games, and about a couple of years into watching Twitch, I had decided I wanted to stream some games at first.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm getting into the tournaments, like gamer community. This is cool, like a small retro gaming community that I was in, and I was competitively streaming this game. I only did it just to stream the game at first. I mean, I always had plans to integrate music into it. I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, or how I was going to present my music, or or myself as a musician. So I kept it simple, and I was streaming games for a while until um, there's this singing platform on Twitch made by Twitch. It's called Twitch Sings, and it's kind of like Smule. You can duet with other people or just sing by yourself. It's a karaoke platform, or karaoke app, and
Mm-hmm.
they held a singing competition, and a lot of my friends, in a lot of my gamer friends, were like, "Hey, because they knew I sang. They'd heard my original music at some point. I showed it to them, and sometimes I sang on stream, and they were like, "You should try out for this." I'm like, "Okay," like, when it comes to these things, it's like, it's nothing to lose. You're in the comfort of your own home. You can just record it on your camera, and record it, and that's how I got the American Idol callback. I tried out
Mm-hmm.
on like video. I recorded myself on a video just like this. And So I was just like, all right, let's do this. What songs do they have? And I ended up on a song, and a week later, I got a call, an email back. I was like, hey, you've made it off to the next round, the semifinals round, and you and 14 others made it to the semifinal round, and we're going to have 5 episodes, 3 people each week. One person makes it from the 3 each week, and then there's a wild card week, so 6 make it to the finals at TwitchCon. While I didn't make it through my semifinal week, they still invited me down to TwitchCon to perform at the Twitch Sings party, which was at the Hard Rock Cafe. I think it's Hard Rock Bar Cafe in San Diego, and that was a really fun experience, because I got to meet all the other musicians that are on Twitch, all the other people who sing on Twitch Sings. They were all there. It was, I mean, it was crazy because they all knew who I was, and I never felt more like a famous person in my entire life, and it was just because of you know what the singing competition. It was called
Mm-hmm.
Streamstar, and it was a big deal, and I was like, oh wow, because it was on front page, Twitch front page, and people were tuned into it, and it was so it was a big deal, and I was like, oh wow, okay, and just meeting everyone there, it inspired me. I was like, I gotta stream music, like, it just, light bulb
Mm-hmm.
in my head. I was like, I gotta stream music. What have I been doing like this whole time? Like, I gotta now invest. I felt very compelled to now invest in streaming music. So I built what you're seeing right now. This is my studio space where I stream from. Um, yeah, before it used to be a room with nothing in it, and now it's got a drum set, a couple keyboards, 3 guitars, 4 TVs. Just like I had decked it out, and was like, okay, I think I'm ready, and I'm still making upgrades, honestly, right now. So I like Twitch a lot because I feel like everything is live. Like, people get to see kind of like the real you. I know
Mm-hmm.
that can kind of get distorted on Instagram, where we're just kind of posting the best versions of ourselves, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. But there's other real moments, of you, that people like seeing. And I think people kind of gravitate towards the interaction, the live interaction with the chat. They're chatting with you, you're talking back to them. It's like you're getting live feedback, and your guys are you're hanging out with your viewers all together. And I think there's um I don't know, I think it's a new form of social media in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're building followers, you're building your channel, but they get to interact with you live. And so it's just, for me, I think this is kind of this is where I find myself in a zone creatively, is
Love
when I
it.
can do it live in front of people. And I can also, after the live stream, I can take the video and chop it up into pieces
Oh
and
yeah.
create content that way for my YouTube. So it's actually helping me out my other channels. Um, it's kind of like two birds, one stone type of thing. Um, but
Smart.
yeah, that's kind of where I found my zone on a social media platform, was live streaming. So I'm
Amazing.
doing it.
That's really good, Mark, because I think that you always wanted to become a performer when you were young, when you saw Michael Jackson. And to reach millions of people, you're doing it online. And you have the capacity to reach billions, once it opens up Twitch China. And it's awesome because when just hearing you talk with Twitch, I found a lot of joy in being live. I stream live every single morning on Zoom and Facebook. And the idea of authenticity live is the best way for you to really connect with someone, because you do see someone without the filters and also without the cuts, without the edits. Even for this podcast, even for all the creative podcasts out there, okay, Creative Haven podcast, I don't edit them. Only edit parts when battery runs out or someone has to go feed a baby. Um, I mess up a lot of my words. I don't really find myself articulate in sometimes the things I say. Though for me, I feel that I love being able to just show my own uh, vulnerable self out there in the world and talk with people who are more intelligent than me. And so we can have a conversation where I learn, at the same time makes me look smart, because I actually bring in people who know what they're talking about. But live to me is just a really great way to see the real person. And so for you with Twitch, what have you found as kind of like your, I don't want to say top three or top five, but kind of like some really great points or techniques or strategies that have helped you or other friends in your Twitch world grow on Twitch?
I think it works kind of much like just IRL being a musician. Networking is like a huge thing. Is becoming friends with your other music streamer, other music streamers on there,
Mm-hmm.
and doing collaborations. Like there's so many like things, so many parallels, because we always talk as artists in LA. We always talk about collaborations. Like, hey, let's work together on a project. Let's do this. Like, let's film something together, and we always try to help each other out. There, same thing here. Um, um, I think it's really powerful, because like everyone's channels can kind of like work together, and all the viewerships can kind of help everyone grow in a way, in a sense. And that's kind of how it started for me at first, because when I was doing StreamStar, I was actually a very, very small streamer compared to Mike, the other singers in the competition. They were much bigger than me. They were partners. And here I was, just a small streamer, Zelda streamer with less than 200 followers, just like coming in there and just like somehow being a part of this group of 15, like just it was just it was crazy. I was like, well, maybe I could get to that level. But they really vouched for me after the
Mm-hmm.
competition. Like these, the other 15, they were just like, oh my gosh, so great. And then I was like, and they were very encouraging and in me starting to do music streams. And I was like, wow, you guys are amazing. You guys were really what got me started. They were sending their audience over to me. There's another, yeah, that's like one of the techniques, is that you can make friends with bigger streamers. I mean, I'm not saying that that should be your sole focus, but like is to like kind of not use and abuse them. That's not what you want to do either. But be friends. Start making some friends around the music community, and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they send love over your way by sending their viewers over to your channel. So
Mm-hmm.
there's this thing called rating and hosting. So and what that means is they can just raid your stream live from their live stream. So they were currently live with their viewers, and then it sends whatever viewers they have over to you. So it's kind of like, and I think that's what helped me out a lot at first. Was I had all the friends from TwitchCon and Twitch Sings Party and the Stream Star. Once I started doing music, I was getting a lot of those, and that helped me get building from the ground up, because I know it's kind of hard to start a stream, because it feels like you're streaming to nobody. Like you go
Hmm.
on there and it's just like zero viewers or one viewer, but you kind of have to like just keep going with it. You just gotta. And I think I also think some of the techniques in live streaming that help me out is you gotta kind of like learn how to talk to yourself a little
Hmm.
bit. Have a dialogue back and forth with yourself, and uh, so that's why you see me like just kind of rambling on about like different parts of the story, and kind of keeping the energy up is like something that I kind of learned how to do at first, especially with my drum streams. I try to keep the energy high there.
And how long are these streams again, Mark?
These streams are about 3 or 4 hours each. I,
Yes,
I
everyone.
find I find that is the sweet spot. If you do
Hmm.
2 hours, I feel like people who want to see your stream, that's not enough time window for them to actually jump on. So if you do like 3 or 4 hours, that's more time for X viewer from some location in the world to be like, oh yeah, yeah, like he'll come in, he or she will come in the middle of it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll stick around, like after that. So you just need to stream for enough time so that it increases your visibility and discoverability on the app. So I do about 3 or 4 hours, 4 times a week right now.
Woo!
Yeah.
And then, do you have a format to each of your streams?
Yes, I do. So singing was an important thing in me starting music streams, but also drumming was. So, like, I think, since I'm also a drummer, and I also believe drumming is my best instrument. um I decided that I was like, I should do drum streams. I think that would be an easy, like drumming is a fun activity for me. I don't have to think about it that much, and I just have fun with the audience. And I feel like those streams will, add great value to my channel. So I was like, all right, let's do a couple days on drums, and then we'll do a couple days on singing and piano and live looping. Um,
Nice.
Stuff like that. Something a little bit more chill, and then I get to talk to the audience a little bit more. Whereas the drum streams are just very high energy all the time. The viewers are the DJs; they're the ones requesting songs, and I'm just
Nice.
playing. I'm just playing along to it, and we're all having a good time. That's kind of like what that stream is. So I don't
Oh,
get
that's
enough
awesome.
time to really talk on to my viewers on drum streams, but I'll slow it down a couple days a week, play music, sing, live loop, and then chat.
That's amazing. And so, when you are doing these streams, 3 hours a session, 4 times a week, how do you get into your creative flow to keep going for 3 hours and also to come up with the ideas?
So yes, so the format on the drum side is open requests. I They can request whatever they want, within reason. Like if it's
Hmm.
really so difficult that I can't figure it out, it's usually something I don't play. But it's not always the case. 99% of the time, viewers are putting in, really fun songs to enjoy for that is enjoyable for the rest of the viewers on the stream too. So that one just naturally goes 4 hours, because there's just always people that
Hmm.
are putting songs in. And if not, you can just come up with your own set list, like something that put in songs that display your best work, and then kind of build on from there. Really easy system. People can request songs on YouTube just from the chat. They don't have to go anywhere else. They can even just song request it with the title and artist name on the chat, and it finds the song for them, and it adds it into my queue that automatically plays. It's on the stream. So um, that's very really convenient for the viewer, since it's easy for them, it's easy for me, it works for everyone. That's where you can get your queue really full on a drum stream. For singing streams, that's a little bit different. You don't know every song, so you have to have a song list. So you have to build a song list for people to kind of request songs from, and keep building, because
Hmm.
there's always new music being put out. People want to hear covers of that, and also you got to keep practicing. You got to keep sharp with singing and the beats and the loops and all that stuff. It
Mm,
requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of practice. So yeah, I'd say that one's a little bit more chill. That's why I take that one a little bit slower so that I can, have some time to like figure it out and, figure it out on the spot. I think that's probably the hardest part is figuring out music on the fly, which I'm doing a lot of the time because,
mm.
it's hard to find time to practice right now with all my activities happening. So, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, because for you right now, you're usually with people who want to get into a creative flow, they'll do something else outside of their craft, and yet you would usually go and play a video game, or you would go and start coding. You have found a way to create a career and make money from all three of those, which is very interesting. It's like when you are getting tired of gaming because you want to get inspired from music, you can go back to coding, and the coding, like if you don't get tired of coding, you can go back to music. And so it's when you are creating a song, because again, and also, ladies and gentlemen, we forgot to mention listeners that Mark has also created original music for Stella Rosa Wines, which is going to be out in this holiday season on a new commercial, and it was also on another commercial 2 years ago. And so Mark is on TV, national TV, with an original song. And so even with that, Mark, coming up with that original song, how do you come up with that spark, that creative spark, and how do you get into that flow?
all right. So it starts with the initial idea, and I think as is with anything, and I think speaking on I guess I'll speak on Stella Rosa here. Um, they were very clear. I love it when clients have a like kind of a clear vision. They have video to show me already, and then they have a demo song or a demo track, and then they have like a clear vision in their head for me, so that kind of helps me get started or sparks the idea in me. When they know what they want. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when they don't, I have to like keep trying new things, and then I'll send it off to them. They're like, "Could it be this? Could it be that?" And then we just go back and forth until we have to figure something out. This one, sometimes this one was a little bit clearer this time. This holiday one coming up, and so this one was special in a way because I do have my Twitch, do my have my twitching. Like the head of marketing at Stella Rosa was thinking far and beyond just the commercial. He was like, well, "What if
Mm-hmm.
we can make this a Twitch thing? Like let's somehow integrate Twitch and because you met the they wanted a female vocalist on it. I was like, I have someone in mind. She's from Twitch, so it's like, and it was like, he was like, well, how can we integrate Twitch into this? Like maybe you guys can stream together, or like stream the collaboration together, and then we can have this nice little behind the scenes, to post, in the future after the commercial is done. So anyway, I think I'm getting beyond the point here. I just think uh I think that kind of sparked my interest because it included one of my current ones, like
Mm-hmm.
so like that's how like I think the ideas sparked initially, and then once I saw it, I could somehow I heard it. I streamed the initial session where I was coming up with the music for it. I was like, I had their visuals on my screen. And I'm like looking at it. I'm like, I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm writing this song with a female voice in mind, and all the criteria was very clear. And um, yeah, I think that's how we got started on that one.
Yeah, I think it's also what you were saying before is when you just keep practicing. I think you streaming and you also just playing every single day, and practicing and learning and just getting better at your craft, you were able to come up with an idea like that, like quickly. Because I do remember the first session. I do remember the first song. You came up with that chord progression and everything within an hour. I think even shorter than that. And it was so interesting to watch because as for me, I'm a DJ and I'm in music production as well, and I always appreciate people who can really come up write a song as quick as 5-10 minutes, knowing music theory, knowing certain progressions, and I think that your education, your passion, and your constant learning and applying that knowledge through your streams, you can come up with a song or a creative idea so quickly. And I think that for a lot of the creative people out there, it really does show. It does mean a lot to be streaming live because you're actually put on the spot. You're actually uh, practicing and training and performing at the same time with the vulnerability of live. And I've experienced that with DJing. I've experienced that with my own live streams. And I think that Mark is going to just really catapult you in your skills as a musician and a songwriter as well as a Twitcher because you're just like a triple, quadruple threat. Um, but Mark, I know you're a busy person and you have some streams to do, so we may have to go in a little bit. But before we go, I want you to give some people some advice to people out there who are musicians or artists like yourself, who do want to find a outlet for their creativity and they have a job. They're at a job, a full-time job. What's your advice to them, kind of like what you would like to say to them in order for them to just keep sane and also feel fulfilled?
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess my advice to somebody is, since I was doing music all the time, I felt really burnt out, and that affected my ability to be creative. I do think another outlet that you really enjoy will really balance your life out a lot. So it'll
Hmm.
take you out of the zone, the music zone you're in. You'll be able to see your music from the outside in. Sometimes you're too deep in it, like you were saying before. You're kind of just too deep to see anything or accept to see anything other than what you like. Um, I highly recommend getting into another hobby, something that clears your head, or um, choosing an occupation that you enjoy that also helps fund your music. I think that was like one of the biggest things for me. I didn't realize how much freer I felt with a budget, for music. Like because before everything was being funded by the music projects, and I was kind of scraping by, getting it done. But with consistent, money and budget from my job, from Twitch, actually, I get money from Twitch as well. Um, just to have that as opened my eyes up to more possibilities, in my vision to create content or to perform. And it's re-inspired me, honestly, because I know when things get tough and you're too deep in music and you're kind of struggling to make it work, like it gets discouraging after a while. And so me figuring this out is reigniting a lot of musical endeavors for me. So, and the vision of it is starting to become a little bit clearer again. So, I that's my advice to you.
Love it. Mark, thank you so much for your time. And, I want everyone to know where to find you and support you. So give us your online handles, give us your Twitch and where we can find you and support.
Sure. So, on Twitch, it's Marknificent TV. It's twitch.tv/Marknificent TV. So it's MarcNificent TV at the end. It's the same on Instagram, Marknificent TV. And then on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, it's Marknificent without the TV. So that's where you can find me.
Outstanding. Mark, thank you so much for your time. And everyone, please go on his Twitch stream. Tip him, support him, like it, share it, comment, and request the most difficult songs that you could think of. But thanks so much, Mark. I will see you in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Mitchell. It's
All right.
always, it's always a pleasure.
For sure. All right. Bye.
All right. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Haven podcast. And if you dig it and like what you heard today, please give us a nice review and rating and share it with one of your friends that you think needs some creative inspiration. You can always find more content and resources at thecreativehaven.com and hit me up on Instagram at Mitchell Doomlau. And if you want to reach out, collab, or ask any questions, you have my permission to slide into my DMs. So keep positive, continue to learn and hone your craft, and create all day. Salamat.